All right. Well, everybody else does these, so I thought I would do mine. Um, I'll start off with my top 10 and I'll give you my reasons why. But this is top 10 NFL power rankings. Um, some of these teams, like down at the bottom, are kind of but, um, you know, they got winning records. Um, so, number 10, I'm just going to start off and say Jaguars. A lot of people are going to say, well, Jaguars, they just got beat. The Jaguars have beat some good teams and they've got beat by some good teams. They've had a rough schedule so far, and they still have a winning record of 4-3. You can't say that about anybody else in the league. You can't. Nobody. Um, Even the teams above them have had easier schedules, but they're winning, and some of the teams above them have beat them. Um, at number 9, I have the Patriots, 5-2. Um, Started off rough, got beat by Las Vegas in the first week, and then after that, I think they won a game, and then they lost another game to who was it? I have to look. Patriots, where are you at? I know you're on here somewhere. Yeah, Pittsburgh. They lost to Pittsburgh. Um, yeah, it wasn't. I didn't feel like that was Pittsburgh wasn't like a big game. That was early in the year, but the first week is the one I kind of will give you a gimme on. You got beat by one of the worst teams in the league, Las Vegas, but nobody knew that. Um, I mean, they beat Miami, which they should beat, Carolina, who ain't real bad, and they beat Buffalo, and then they beat New Orleans and Tennessee. It's not a real good test other than Buffalo. You're they're 2-0 in their division, and they're probably going to make the playoffs. There's other teams probably say that too. Um, I don't know. The NFC is really it's tight. So number 8, I've got the Packers. I just don't trust them enough to put them in the top 5 yet. They're 4-1-1, which is a winning record and first in the conference. Um, I don't know. They got beat by the Cleveland Browns uh, after they got done beating Detroit and who else did they beat? Um, Washington. Yeah, I thought, well, Washington's got to be a good game too. I had them ranked pretty high in the first weeks of my power rankings, and I've been kind of doing this, keeping track of it because I'm keeping track of a lot of stuff because I'm in a elimination pool, which I am still in. I've done enough research. I've watched enough games to kind of get a gauge on who's good and who's bad. Injuries have changed things. Changes in quarterbacks have changed things. Trades have changed things. I counted the Bengals out. I thought they were done for the year. Now they got Flacco. I'm not so sure. I'm gonna have to reevaluate them. Um, Packers at 8. 7, I have the 49ers. They're very beat up, but they just keep winning games. And they've beat everybody in their division. They're 3-0 in their division. They're way ahead of the game. Um, if they can get healthy or get some trades or something going on, they could climb back up this. But they dropped 2, one to the Jaguars and one to Tampa Bay, which are both good teams too. Um, and they keep chugging along. Number 6 is the Lions. I'm not completely convinced on them yet. They showed a solid outing this last Sunday. Um, uh, beat the pants off of Tampa Bay. Um, they're a solid team, both sides of the ball. They got a good quarterback. They got a running back. They got a decent defense, um, and that's going to take you to the playoffs as long as they stay healthy. Um, not real impressed with some of the teams they beat until this last one. This last one, they was definitely a quality win. I mean, they lost to Green Bay. They played some garbage teams, and then they lost to Kansas City. And I was like, I don't know about these guys. So they dropped off my top 10. They're back. They proved that they they can do it. Um, Number 5, the Rams. The LA Rams. They just knocked the socks off the Jaguars, but I kind of wonder if they didn't get a little bit of good film from the Seahawks beating the britches off of them on defense. Yeah, because they got just as many sacks as the Seahawks did. 7 sacks against Mr. Lawrence. And they got to get something figured out on that offensive line for the Jaguars, or they're going to be going downhill fast because they're in the same division with the Colts and the Texans, who are Colts are a good team, and the Texans aren't bad. They just can't get it going on offense. Their defense has been saving them. If they could get an offense, they'd be a top tier team. Um, yeah, and the Rams have played a lot of good teams. Uh, One loss is from the Colts, I believe, or no? Rams beat the Colts. That's what it was. So, you got to give props to them. Another team that's probably going to be in the playoffs. Number 4 is the Eagles, also 5-2. They just did. They played a pretty good, solid game this week. They dropped. They were at the top of my. They were number 1 at the beginning of the year on my list. They've played tough teams. They have not had a super easy schedule yet. I mean, you could say that they had a couple of easy ones with. I don't know. You could say Dallas was easy, but they beat Kansas City. They beat the Rams. They beat Tampa Bay, and then they beat Minnesota this week. And their only losses are to Denver and New York Giants. And I don't know what the heck's going on with the Giants. They're like, I don't know what they are yet. They beat the britches off of somebody. They'll play really good, and then all of a sudden, poof, goes away. Denver, fourth quarter, I guess their luck run out. I don't know what the heck's going on there. They should have won that game. And if they would have, Denver definitely wouldn't have been in the top 10. Or, no, they aren't in my top 10, but they wouldn't be in my top 15. Yeah, just because you got a record of a certain amount doesn't mean you're going to get up there in the top tier. But I do account for that. I'm not going to let a 4-3 team or a 500 team up into the top 10. I'm just not. The Chiefs have climbed up very close to getting back into the top 10. Honorable mention there. The Bucks. Baker was just on fire until this week. Watching that game, he looked like he was lost. He didn't know what the heck was going on. Like his team just quit on him or something, and he was just like, "What the heck? What is happening?" Like somebody had just taken his family away. He just looked completely lost to me. I mean, I could see that look in his eyes, like, what in the world is going on right now? They couldn't get nothing going. Their defense did all right, and but the offense just looked horrible. And everybody's talking about, damn it, Mike, the receiver. What's his name? Evans. Talking about him losing him. Well, that was his first game back, and they looked horrible. I don't know, but they beat the Seahawks. They beat the They beat the they beat the Seahawks, and they beat the, well, let's look here. They beat Atlanta, Houston, the Jets, the Seahawks, 49ers, and their losses are to Philadelphia and Detroit. So, and until this week, they had one loss. So, I don't know. I really can't drop them off that much. They were first place, so I dropped them down one. Colts are number one. And I know I've made this argument for a while too about they really haven't played anybody, but I look back and just like Seattle, they're beating the britches off of the bad teams. Yes, they had some bad teams they played, but they handled them. They beat the britches off of them. They totally dominated the game. This team is running on all cylinders in all three phases of the game. I'm sorry, but you can't say that they're not. Not anymore. Who'd they lose to? The Rams. Yeah, they lost to the Rams. And they could have won that game. And I mean, you could say that about a lot of these teams, and you could switch a lot of these teams around. I mean, look at, you got the Bucks that are 5-2. You got the Seahawks are 5-2. The Eagles are 5-2. The Jaguars are what? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Eagles 5-2, Rams 5-2, Lions 5-2, 49ers 5-2, Packers 4-1-1, Patriots are 5-2, and the Jaguars are 4-3. I know I said I couldn't let somebody 4-3, but I really didn't have much choice. I mean, I could have put the Broncos up there at 5-2 and said, screw it. But I'm not feeling the Broncos yet. They struggled against Tennessee in that first game. I watched that one. Who else did they play? They played Cincinnati. That was after they lost Burrow. So everybody at that point was beaten up on Cincinnati. You got Philadelphia, and they beat them, mind you. And I had them on my top 10. And then they beat the Jets and the Giants. But then they lost to Indianapolis and the Chargers. Well, they lost to the Chargers. Chargers have beat everybody in that division. So they're ahead of the game. If they can get healthy, and I heard somebody's coming back this week. I forget the name. But I know he's missing some of his. And if they can get healthy and they can get the ship righted, I got them right underneath the Jaguars. And the only reason I got the Jaguars higher is because the Jaguars have had such a tough schedule, and they just dropped 2 to Seattle and the LA Rams. Look, it's anybody's game out there right now. So, you can make your own power rankings and you can come up with your own reasons. I try to be fair and subjective to what your record is, who you've played, how many wins you got in your division, and conference wins. Those are kind of like the things that I look at the most. And then, I look at these teams and their stats, quarterback ratings, the passes, the interceptions, the touchdown to interception ratios, how many yards they're putting up, how many yards they're allowing. It's all important when you're trying to pick teams to, if you're gambling on something, like I am, in my pool. But that's my top 10s. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and we'll see you next week. And I'll probably share another video with my total list. All right, have a good one.